Hello and you're welcome back to The Public Eye, a 5-part series of podcasts brought to you by Granite Exchange. I'll be your host, Sarah Travers, and throughout this series I'll be speaking with local entrepreneurs and business owners to learn more about how these companies have come to be, to gain insight into their growth, and find out how they continue to innovate. So wherever you get your podcasts from, remember to keep an eye out for new episodes and subscribe to stay up to date. Today, I'm joined by Greg Bradley, founder and CEO of Blk Box Fitness. Greg, you're very welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sarah. Excited to be here.
Good. Well, before we begin, I'm going to give everyone a little bit of background on Greg and his brilliant business. So Greg, as I said, is the founder and CEO of Blk Box Fitness, a company that specialises in the design, manufacture and delivery of fitness equipment. Now, since 2012, the Belfast-based team have worked with some of the leading sports clubs and businesses in the world, including Irish Rugby, Arsenal, Adidas, Nike, the Royals in Dubai, and many, many more. Now, Blk Box operates from their headquarters in Newton Abbey after relocating there from their previous Titanic Quarter location, right beside the Harland and Wolff cranes, and they currently employ 100 people. Their ever-growing team are more than engineers and salespeople. In fact, they are pioneers of change. They aren't concerned with just making good products and providing good customer service. Just as you demand more from your body, they demand more from themselves, designing their products, which help make athletes better. A brilliant introduction, Greg, and a very modest man sitting across from me in the studio. But congratulations on your hugely successful business. So I want to find out a little bit more about the man behind the business. How did the business start in the first place?
Yeah, it was actually 10 years ago, last Saturday, believe it or not. So, it was quite a nice milestone. I think, 96% of businesses fail maybe in their first 10 years. And I'll be honest, there was many times we were probably close to being that statistic. But the business was being bootstrapped. I played Gaelic football for Owen Road, Coleraine, your part of the world.
Part of the world, yes.
And I think they got a grant a couple of years ago for a gym, and I just felt that they maybe could have been offered a better solution. So I think that planted the seed. And I wasn't naturally gifted at Gaelic football. I was probably one of the worst players to win a senior championship, but I just found that going to the gym made me a slightly better athlete, and somehow I managed to get into the first team. So the rationale was basically I'll sell this equipment and maybe keep a couple of pieces for myself and the club to use, and basically downloaded pictures of equipment, put it onto adverts.ie. It's kind of like a marketplace like Gumtree, and then loads of people started ringing me, and I didn't have anything to sell at this stage.
So what were you doing apart from the sports? What sort of age were you at that stage, and what were you doing?
Yeah, it's about 23. I just had finished university, studied communication, advertising, marketing. When I say studied, I somehow stumbled my way through the course and managed to graduate. And I always felt that I was always going to do something on my own. I had no real aspirations to go and work for someone else. At university, I used to sell Abercrombie and Fitch clothing, used to bring it in bulk and then sell on eBay, and it was mainly
so you're a bit of a Dell boy.
Yeah, well, it was to fund an overactive social life. So I just felt it was easier than working for someone else. And
I hope you got a good dissertation out of that, because you were actually doing a bit of marketing and selling.
Yeah, it was a good course. I would encourage people to go to university. I don't feel it's essential, but it was a good sort of learning ground for me.
But you obviously had the spark there. You recognise, and you're good at this. You know when there's a need and there's a gap in the market.
Yeah, I think someone from Chain Reaction maybe came in and did a talk to us at university, and for me it was probably one of the most impactful things. I thought, this is cool, this company's in Northern Ireland and selling globally, and it probably gave a bit of confidence that could be done.
It is amazing when you do hear those inspirational stories, and especially when you know it's someone that's like you, and then you think, could I do that?
Yeah, it's massive, success leaves clues, and, once you see local companies doing stuff in the global stage, it gives you the belief that you can do it. But look, when I started the company, I didn't think we were maybe going to achieve some of the stuff we have, but yeah, thankfully we've been able to secure some nice contracts over the past few years. But
Yeah, we'll come to those in just a minute. You've just said there you've celebrated 10 years in business, which is a massive achievement. And, as I said at the start, you are very modest. But so you started not designing then, you started sourcing.
yeah, at the start, well, at the start, actually, I went to a welder in Korea and I was like, can you make this equipment? And he said to me, do you have engineering drawings? I was like, what's an engineering drawing? I don't know very much about engineering. I still don't know a huge amount about it. So at the start, we were kind of subcontracting manufacturing and then importing some products from China. And then for me, I felt that, it's important to have a USP in business. So I went to Belfast Met and asked them to sell me a welding machine and give me one of their best graduates.
Gosh.
They sold me the machine. I don't think they gave me their best graduate because he left a week later to go work on oil rigs. But then the guy that replaced him, he's actually still with us today. He's actually got a Blk Box tattoo on his hand as well. So
Gosh, that's incredible. So he's still going strong and very much part of the business, allowed you to create this business.
yeah, he's been there 8 years, and most of our team we try to hire from within, and they let them grow within the business. We've a relatively young team, but we've got quite a few experienced people as well from Chain Reaction and other places. But yeah, for me, it's important. We try not to have a huge high staff turnover. We want people so there's continuity within the business.
So you start with one welder and a welding machine. What happens next?
Then next we bought a powder coating machine, and I remember even the guy that was selling it was like, you don't really justify purchasing this, but I just felt that for us being able to customize equipment was quite important. And again,
So for those who don't know, because of course I know what a powder coating machine is not, what is it?
Oh, sorry. So it basically paints the steel a colour, and it's quite a durable coating. So basically kind of like a spray paint, but slightly different. So
Branding was really key for you.
branding's important, and what we would call sort of mass customization. We try to co-create with our clients so we can put their logo on the equipment and put it in their color schemes, because if you're just importing your products from China or elsewhere, you can't really do that. So yeah, kind of one of the mantras, try to live by sort of zig when others zag, and no one really was manufacturing in Northern Ireland or locally. And I thought, this is a good USP for us. And, I feel creation transparency is quite important. People want to know where their products are coming from. And I think COVID's probably been an accelerator on that. People want maybe local products as opposed to products that are coming from the Far East.
Absolutely. I love that, zig when others zag. That's absolutely brilliant. Tell us about Blk Box then. Where did the name come from?
Oh, we've been through a few rebrands over the years. Yeah, as I said, I did study communication, advertising, marketing, but you think I would be able to come up with a good name. Our first name was Elite Fitness and Performance, because I just didn't know exactly what the business was going to do. So it was kind of something that would maybe leave us a bit of flexibility. And then I thought, we'll just abbreviate that to EFP Gyms, which is probably one of the worst names around. And then the third rebrand was in 2015, I believe. I was coming out of established coffee shop in Hill Street, probably had one or two too many coffees, and drove past Blk Box, the music venue.
Oh yeah, in Cathedral Quarter.
Yeah, and just thought, Blk Box, that's kind of cool. So then I texted to Miles from our team, and he tries to be a little bit sort of counterintuitive when I come up with ideas. And in fairness, he did abbreviate the name and create the logo, and
To the Blk Box.
yeah, which not everyone always gets. Most people get it's Blk Box.
Blk Box.
Yeah.
All sorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blk Box. No, it's really good and it's really catchy, and I'm definitely seeing it out there now. So you also talked there a little bit about how the business grew, and what you realised is that, I mean, health and fitness is massive, and it's probably grown. You got in at exactly the right time. So you're manufacturing, you're producing these goods here, but you're going to clients and then saying, what can I do for you? So we just heard some of the clients there. GAA, Ulster Rugby, Jaguar, Adidas, Nike, I mean, really, and the Royals in Dubai, Irish Rugby, Arsenal. Can you remember your first big contract?
I can, yeah. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was with Brighton and Hove football team in Premier League, and yeah, the purchase order came through, and it was about 140,000, and I didn't even know what a purchase order was back then. So yeah, I'll never forget that one.
And how did that happen for you?
Sometime one of the coaches was actually from Belfast, which always helps to have a bit of a connection. But I attend a lot of courses myself, and you kind of make friends with the strength conditioning coaches, and when they see that you're really interested in something and passionate about it as well, they're going to be very comfortable working with you, as opposed to someone that's just trying to sell product and make a quick buck. But Brighton and Hove one for me was great, because it's a client that we've maintained over the past sort of 8 or 9 years. Last year we redid their men's gym. We've also did the women and girls gym and the academy, and it's easy to sell once, but it's maintaining that long-term relationship is hugely important for us. We try not to spend a huge amount on marketing and advertising. We do a little bit, but if we can get most people do a good job and they refer and repeat business, we try to talk about the most important customer or client you have is the one you already have, because in business we all get guilty of always trying to bring in that new sale. But it's a mantra we try to live by. We use a distinction also of a client versus a customer, because a customer generally could be maybe a short-term transaction, whereas a client, we talk about being fiduciaries for them, where you're giving them advice that is correct for them, and also you want to have that long-term relationship with them. So
it's getting that balance right, isn't it, about when you're growing your business, wanting to develop the business, wanting to win new business, but for you it really is about looking after the existing clients.
It is, yeah. One of our core values of business is client obsession, so we have to try and be obsessed with them. And I know it sounds a little bit odd and it puts some people off, but look, culture it's not one thing in business. I feel it's probably one of the most important things, and we try to, within Blk Box, have a bit of a unique culture.
This podcast is sponsored by Granite Legal Services, a niche business and immigration law practice located in the heart of Newry City. Granite Legal Services provides legal advice to both individuals and companies alike across a wide range of industries, from employment, commercial or corporate law matters to immigration law. Granite Legal Services focuses on providing legally sound, practical advice to its clients. To get in touch, visit www.granitelegalservices.co.uk or contact 028 3026 2200. So client obsession, what does that actually look like? Is that one of the things that you would say to your client? We are obsessed with you, but then how can you be obsessed with Brighton and Hove and Arsenal and at the same time?
Yeah, I'll be honest and transparent. It is a challenge when the business grows, and when it's smaller, there's less number of people or clients to deal with. But as it grows, it is a bit more of a challenge. But look, I put quite a bit of pressure on myself to live by that mantra. It means responding to emails promptly. I've never put an out of office on. I probably should have, but I just, for me, it's if you put myself in the shoes of the client or customer, it's what would I want? And these people are spending a lot of money with us, so
we hear an awful lot about values.
Yep.
And living by those values and not being deviated when a podcast host asks you to, why would you do that? And how can you give the same level of obsession to a competitor? But it's so important to stay true to your values, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And it's, the higher you are up in the company, they talk about the shadow as the leader of a business. So if, the senior leadership team, if they're not living by those values, people see it very quickly and it's not authentic. But I think also principles are important as well because, there's a saying, values are for living, not just laminating. And you see companies that put up these values on the wall, but they're not living by them.
No, or some don't even know what they are. They're just on the wall now, so that'll do, tick.
Yeah, that's it. And we try to, and look, I'll be honest with it, don't always get it right, and it's slightly easier in theory to put up these values, but...
And it's easier too when you're the boss and you're the leader. It's harder perhaps to make sure that others then share the same values or principles as you. Does that start in the recruitment process for you?
Yeah, and it's a great point, Sarah. It's something that we've made a lot of mistakes as a business, but when you're growing so quick, and there was a time where we needed more people within the business, but we probably were a bit too slow. And it's that old saying, hire slow, fire fast, and we maybe didn't put people through a proper process to make sure that they do live by our values. Weekly, every Friday evening, I would send a team update to the whole team, and we it's called weekly wins, where people will go above and beyond the day to day, and we try and tie it to the core values of the business, because there's no point in having them if you're not going to do that.
And are they ever tied into targets and sales? I mean, would you be driven by that too? Because at the end of the day, if the business is going well, you want your people selling and you want them delivering.
Yeah, we do. We've only we've a profit share company wide within the business, because again we want to try and have almost like 100 mini entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. I'll be honest, the environment at the minute with steel and labour and shipping it's a very challenging environment. So
right.
Yeah, the bottom line's not going to be great, I would imagine, for the next sort of 12 months. But
so how challenging has it been? Just tell us what it's like for you at the minute.
Like
Rubbish.
Crazy. The steel, we've got an email 2 weeks ago about Ukraine, steel up another 30%. I think it's probably up somewhere between 150%, maybe 200 since the pandemic started. Energy costs, we basically almost quadrupled the size of our headquarters, and electricity, gas, etc.
Transport,
shipping costs
fuel
alone are well over 100%. So,
will you be affected by the P&O decision?
There might be a small amount of headache on that, and it is a tragedy what was done there. It's probably a masterclass on what not to do. But yeah, it's...
So there's so many things stacked against you at the minute, just when you should be absolutely thriving, and it must get really frustrating.
It is, but I think I think in business it's important to try always have a level head. There's a saying, things are never as good or as bad as they seem, and I think that's important. If you win a contract, yes, maybe have a small celebration, but
right.
Don't start, even if you win an award or whatever, I think you can get a little bit too carried away. Whereas if you just bit of stoicism, or I would read some books, Daily Stoic. Guy Ryan Holiday's got a couple of good books, Obstacles the Way, and I think that's important in business, that you always have that sort of level playing field.
It's really good advice though, because we're all guilty of that, aren't we? And we celebrate the wins, and then we're not resilient enough to withstand when it's not good. And business is never just plain sailing or an upward trajectory.
No, definitely not. And it's something, an area I want to work, because it takes a lot to maybe impress me or something. I try to give a bit more praise now. It's one of my many flaws or blind spots, where
your employees need a little bit more encouragement.
Yeah, and look, I obviously appreciate everything they do, but it's maybe just, for me, it's just my personality. I always want to just keep improving as a business and growing, and I don't think the right way to do that is always by giving yourself a pat on the back every time. It's
It's kind of what you're expected to do, and let's get on with it. Do you think that comes from the sport background a little bit, in the team sports and the coaching?
Oh yeah, I mean, we joke R&D within Black Box means rip off and duplicate. Like, we just take the best stuff that we learn from, and we get great access to sports teams, and you can learn so much from them. All Blacks is one.
Tell me about that.
Well, we haven't actually worked with
right.
the All Blacks. We have done some work with one of the clubs in New Zealand, but even just from reading the book Legacy, and but we've done Irish rugby and Bristol Bears and a few of the others, and there's so much stuff. And we talk about within Black Box, we're a sports team. We're not a family. And again, this is from Netflix. I don't know if you've read Netflix Culture Deck.
No.
Well, they talk about they're a team and not a family. And look, I know that's not for everyone, but for us as a growing business, we need everyone playing their best. And I understand things happen. There's times where people maybe don't perform, and we'll always try and support them. But equally, if it was your family, you're always going to support your family. Whereas if you're not performing long term within Black Box, we just can't afford to carry anyone that's not, because that has a negative impact. And if you're a top performer and you see someone that's being tolerated that's not performing for the business, so
I think a lot of people could learn from that, and maybe helps you be a leader, a better leader.
Yeah, it is.
But you still have to have the compassion, so it's getting that balance right too.
It is, and empathy is hugely important. There's lots of stuff we do going above and beyond, where we're trying to make it as cool a place and enjoyable to work. But it's also going back to the recruitment point. Some people think Black Box is like all we do is lift weights and kind of
hang out in the gym.
Yeah, and not do that much work, which we have 2 gyms. We try and encourage people as much as possible to exercise, but equally there's so
if they're in the gym too much, you're like, excuse me, back to the desk?
Well, assuming the work's getting done, we try to be a results business. Effort, it's important, but it's not just effort. We need results here.
So it's interesting too, in terms of the type of people who work for you. Do they need to look like they go to the gym? Is that important?
No, we don't.
Really?
No, 100%. Like,
right.
We don't. I mean, we've got 30 guys, and it is predominantly guys in manufacturing. And those guys aren't in the gym all day, every day. For me, cognitive diversity is important. We strive to and we don't have got perfect gender balance, but we want to have people from different backgrounds within the business, because the worst thing you could do is just have, a senior leadership team that's just people that are obsessed with the gym and stuff. So we try and have diversity within the business, but yeah.
And the synergies that happen then when you've all the diversity there, that's what you need to really have a great business.
Yeah, so it's always like...
So how are you going to deal with the gender balance side of things?
It is a challenge, given that, we've about 30 staff in warehousing, welding, and unfortunately the reality is that they are predominantly male-driven, but, in sales, marketing, logistics, finance, or head of finance is a female, and we're trying to give as many people opportunities within the business. But I don't believe in just giving someone a job to hit a quota. It's whoever's the right person for the role. We talk about level 5 leaders from Jim Collins, and we want people that are training people from below them to be better than them, and that's a challenge sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've just recently designed and fitted out the new Nike. Do you say Nike or Nike?
Nike, I say Nike, yeah.
Nike. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get that right. The new Nike headquarters at King's Cross in London.
Yeah, it was a nice project for us to do. We had did Adidas headquarters in Germany in 2019, and then it was nice to do Nike last year. And yeah, our guys are actually in Amsterdam, I believe, this week doing Under Armour's European headquarters.
Wow,
so
this is incredible. Can you believe it? Do you pinch yourself sometimes?
Sometimes, maybe about twice a year, maybe max.
Oh, no pats on the back though.
No, yeah, just kind of, we always trying to stay level-headed, but it is nice. But I do sometimes feel like a fraud mentioning all those names, because the business has been built on looking after small business owners, even home gym owners.
And they're just as important.
They are, yeah. And about 40% of our revenue would be through e-commerce, direct to consumer. And some of the feedback we get from people, how having a home gym or a small gym in their house, especially through the pandemic, has been life-changing for them.
So many. Did your orders go through the roof during the pandemic? Home gym wise?
On e-commerce, yeah.
Obviously.
We were shipping stuff all over the world, Australia, Hawaii, America.
When the actual gyms were closed?
When they were closed. But Pure Gym is one of our biggest customers, and they were losing, I think, $500,000 a day at one stage. Gosh. So, yeah, that wasn't great. And we had a big project with Sydney Swans that was cancelled.
So at the time you thought, oh no, what's going to happen here? And
the
universe provided.
It did, and look, I believe transparency is important as a leader, and we pulled everyone together and just said, look, we do not know what the outcome is going to be of this. There is a chance we may have to let people go, but we held off as long as we could, and thankfully the pandemic was a bit of an accelerator on the e-commerce side of things,
as it was for so many, and again unforeseen, and you just have to go with it. What do you think makes Blk Box stand out from its competitors that you're now in with these huge names?
I think the client obsession piece is important. Selling is quite easy, but it's delivering on your promises. And if something goes wrong, and we do get some things wrong occasionally, it's standing over your promise and righting those wrongs. I think obviously the local manufacturing piece is quite attractive for people, because it allows us to, we try and co-create their gym with them.
And do you see that continuing? Is that absolutely fundamental to Blk Box?
Yeah, I believe it is. And we were a B2B business. Now we're doing a mixture of B2B and direct to consumer, and I use those terms just for simplicity, but in reality all business is people to people. But I think for us we're expanding more into apparel. We want to be that sort of one-stop shop for anyone, so they can get apparel, equipment, accessories, and we're even launching like a training app so that they could do a workout with their favourite athlete or personal trainer. And
you haven't gone down the old influencer route yet?
Not quite yet. No, we have a couple of authentic ambassadors. Emma McQuaid, who had recently won a big event in Miami, and we've got a couple more for us. We've got our charity partner, Battle Cancer, as well, which is a very worthwhile and valuable charity. And
why did you pick that charity?
I think it's 1 and 2. Basically 50% of people is going to be impacted by cancer, and actually our sales manager, he used to cycle for Ireland, and he had cancer quite young, and after he had recovered from it, I think there was a bit of depression, and he did this Move Forward program with Battle Cancer. He came and talked to us, and everyone was near in tears. And then he actually came to work for us, and he's now our sales manager. But we're also trying to do stuff at the younger end with primary schools and younger people, because if we can get people making sport and fitness a habit, I feel there'll be less chance of maybe obesity as a massive concern. And I think if we can get people into exercising,
and mental health as well.
Mental health, massive. And if you think the past 2 years people being stuck at home, I think it's going to be scary to see some of the statistics come out. So whilst Blk Box does come across quite a high performance brand for elite sports teams, we are trying to be more inclusive, where we want to get as many people into exercising as possible. And that's why working with Pure Gym's so good, because they've lowered that barrier to entry. Historically, it used to cost 30, 40, 50 pound a month to go to the gym. Now you can go for $9.99.
Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it?
It
And then
is.
there's still a lot of people out there that fear going into that gym environment and fear that they're not going to be good enough, or that starting maybe with a weight loss journey or a fitness journey.
Oh, I 100% get it. I'm scared sometimes myself going into the gym, and I train a little bit, but it is a scary...
Intimidating
It
sometimes,
is
isn't it?
intimidating, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is just try and make it as accessible.
Or at home as well.
Or at home as well. Even we're trying to get some of our staff doing something, and I feel it's just making that tiny, just start small, do 5 minutes, either go for a walk or a run.
Just changing your mindset. I would have been so guilty of this a few years ago, say I don't have time, and I maybe would have walked, but I think during the lockdown I decided just to start, and you just have to create a new habit, don't you? And the results are great for your head and great for your heart too.
Yeah, it's massive, and we have a similar mantra in business. It's 1% better. We just want everyone becoming 1% better. So and yeah, one of our other core values is demand more. So we kind of want you always demanding more of yourself, whether that's through learning or exercising or
So challenging yourself.
yeah, because the biggest thing, we don't want people just getting comfortable and not, we're trying to grow maybe 40, 50, sometimes more % as a business, and we just can't have people that are staying still.
It is hard, isn't it? It's hard. There's so many pressures on people at the minute, and I suppose comfort zones, they're called comfort zones for a reason, because you think it's easier there, but actually it is out of the comfort zone that the magic happens.
Oh, it is, and it's so rewarding when you see someone, most of it is in people's head, you think it's going to be a worse experience than it actually is, but yes, so rewarding when someone brings in a sale, or they've learned a new skill, or we have a team meeting it'll be at Monday at 12 o'clock, and we try and get people speaking in front of everyone.
Oh, do you? Wow.
And we don't force them, but again, when you see someone develop and grow and their confidence,
and that's hugely daunting for people.
it is, but again, another mantra is just do something
Just do it.
every
Start
day
doing
that
it, and
scares
then,
you.
Yeah, and that becomes okay.
Yeah, and people end up coming to thank you for it.
I like your style. I think I might like to come and work for you. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned, or even the biggest challenge that you've faced? Obviously, you're learning all the time. I can see that about you, and you maybe don't dwell on mistakes, which is a good thing. You learn from them. But what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, look, every day there is challenges growing the business. I was being charged like £5 a day because I was in my student overdraft at the start. I haven't really brought massive investment in to grow the business. It's been through bank debt, so there has been a fair bit of cash flow pressure there. For me, it's just controlling your mindset, because it is an emotional roller coaster when things go wrong. Even we've a big order going to Jordan, and it's got held up in customs, and some paperwork weren't filled in, and I've got an email saying it might cost us like £16,000, and it's kind of, yeah.
Seriously.
So.
And how do you cope with that? I mean, why do you not just...
I don't think you can, because if you got annoyed with everything that went wrong, I still make mistakes, and I think for me, it's just having that culture of just always learning and improving and
finding a solution,
because we just can't try to have a growth mindset, and we can't come with a problem unless you have a solution, and I feel that's a better mindset to have.
I think everybody needs to learn that, don't they? That's just and thinking I can't, I've never done that before, or I don't know how. Yeah. It's so empowering if you say, but maybe I could. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Well, outside of work, Greg, what do you enjoy doing? Do you have any time off?
A little bit, yeah. I was at the rugby on Saturday,
Oh, brilliant.
which is a good day out. And yeah, I'm getting married in 1st of July in Italy. So
lovely.
looking forward to getting a couple of weeks off.
And tell us about your fiancée.
Yeah, Kiva. She works for the Princess Trust. So, but yeah, we got engaged in San Francisco just before COVID started in March. So
And where did you meet?
we met, yoga. So I used to be a bigger yogi than I actually am. And
That's where the Zen comes from.
Yeah, I do try to meditate, and again, when you're you need to be able to lead yourself before you try and lead others. So I would, spend quite a bit on either personal development or learning or reading books, because, I try to be quite demanding and, lead from the front and servant leadership. And again, all this stuff it's easier said than done, living it every day when you're under pressure and you have emails and stuff. It's more of a challenge, but most of it for me is I do work quite a lot, but I enjoy it, and doing travel.
And is Kiva, is she a similar personality?
Probably not just as quite as type A as I would be, but yeah.
So very exciting, getting married in Italy.
Yeah, no,
It'll be incredible.
Very much looking forward to it.
And do you have a kind of 10-year plan? Do you know where you'd like to be? You've just celebrated 10 years in business. You zig when others zag. What's next?
Yeah, we talk about we want to be the best. We want to be number one in Europe or in the world. Try not to, I do feel having a vision is important, but I think execution is probably the number one thing. We are going through a re-tender process with Pure Gym, and there's talk of maybe an international expansion. We've done their first couple of gyms in America and UAE and Europe. So I don't know. America's one what we've actively stayed out of, but it's probably coming to that point where we need to make a decision if we will expand in there.
And why did you not go there?
Just resources for now, and I feel there's enough in Europe for us to try and grow into lower hanging fruit.
But if the work's there, if they're
if
they're interested,
keen, and Australia as well. Wow. We're doing a couple of nice projects, Sydney Swans there and Man United's gym this summer. So I think it's very much just more of the same. And
which football team do you support?
I try to stay a little bit neutral historically.
Obsessed with them all.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to people who may have a business idea but have no idea where to begin or are unsure as to whether it's a risk worth taking?
I think just give it a go within reason, because I do see some people maybe creating businesses that you can just see that maybe aren't going to work. So there's a good book, Lean Startup, and it's a good methodology where it allows you to test the market before you spend a huge amount of money on your idea. I think fall in love with your clients, not your business or your products, because if you do that, generally you'll be in a better place. And look, there's it's a great time to start a business. There's books, there's so much resources out there. I think speak to other people and just take the leap. And look, your original idea probably won't be exactly how it's going to end up, but that's okay. And I think just progress is hugely important. I'm big into momentum, just small wins every day, and give it a go.
And keep moving forward. Honestly, Greg, you have absolutely inspired me. I've learned so much, I've scribbled so many notes, and I'm sure that there are many people who've tuned in today that have taken an awful lot out of this interview. Thank you so much for joining us on the Public Eye podcast. Good luck for the next 10 years, and I'm so excited to see what you do next. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sarah. Enjoyed it.
Take care. This podcast was recorded in Granite Podcast Studio. Interested in starting up your own podcast but don't know how? Granite Podcast Studio can help. Record your podcast in our state-of-the-art studio, which is based in the heart of Newry City. Our studio has cutting-edge and user-friendly technology and can seat up to 4 people. We also provide an editing service for our team, using your guidance and editing notes to provide you with a flawless finished product, leaving your listeners wanting more. For more information on how you can get started, visit www.granitepodcaststudio.com.